10 demanding days in June.
We are in the greatest race, that's ever been.
47 elite powerboat teams.
Men in powerboats, it's in your soul.
1,600 miles of some of the roughest, most unpredictable sea in the world.
Oh, it's the toughest powerboat race in the world, without a doubt.
This is the Round Britain Offshore Powerboat Race. June 20th, 2008. Portsmouth, home to the world's oldest dry dock that launched countless British armadas. Now, for only the third time in history, a fleet consisting of the cream of world powerboat race teams gather for the start of the Round Britain Powerboat Race.
This was, without question, the biggest offshore powerboat race of the 21st century.
Over the next 10 days, 48 teams will race 1,600 miles around the coast of Britain.
I knew what a monumental task it would be preparing for it, but I couldn't let it go by without doing it.
It's a feeling shared by many of the competitors, not least world transatlantic speed record holder, 75-year-old Dag Pike, tempted out of racing retirement by this supreme challenge.
It's a tough race because you're doing what amounts to 8 full-length offshore races in 8 days. Normally you just do one 200-mile race, finish, and you can go off and relax and recover. But this is cumulative, and so you're doing one race after another. It really, it batters your brain. Physically it's tough, very, very tough.
And it can be tough on the wallet too. From the multi-million-pound investments by the state-of-the-art professionals, down to the more modest sums splashed out by enthusiasts. German entrepreneur Marcus Hendricks spent £250,000 on his boat Blue Marlin, followed by a cool $75,000 on race logistics.
If I had known how much money it was, maybe would have thought about it, but yes, it's something like event of a lifetime.
The result of years of planning, the Round Britain Powerboat Race is held but once a generation. It was first staged in 1969 and again in 1984. And in regal style, Princess Anne is here to launch the 2008 installment of this nautical battle royale. Dusting off their blazers, this year's offshore racing hotshots gather for a glass of bubbly and a chance to assess the competition at close quarters. But who will be getting their hands on the silverware in 11 days' time?
Fabio Buzzi, he's got 4 engines. If he drops an engine, he's down to 80 miles an hour. Drops 2 engines, down to 60 miles an hour. He can still keep going.
Ace Italian driver and powerboat designer Fabio Buzzi is not only the winner of 10 World Championships, but also the victor of the last Round Britain race in 1984.
I feel happy to be here with many friends that I remind from 1984.
Everyone was saying Fabio was going to win, but bear in mind Fabio turned up in the biggest, fastest boat. Amazing to look at, and just independent of any bad luck, just unstoppable on the water. I'd kill for that boat.
He's got a tremendous record. He was the world champion in 1987. He won 16 races in a row.
In powerboating, Fabio Buzzi is God. It's as simple as that.
The Austrian wet bomb, obviously she was another contender. In actual fact, with my experience, I would have to put my money on either of those 2 boats.
Captained by Austrian.com tycoon Hans Boink, the supremely powerful Vetpunkt has 1,640 horsepower at its disposal. It's sure to give Fabio Buzzi some stiff competition.
We quite expected them to be up there leading the fleet every day.
But whilst the smart money is on the veterans, there is no shortage of young challengers.
This was a 21st century powerboat race, and we had the only 21st century powerboat in that race.
Team Linehead boasts a prototype rigid inflatable boat, or RIB for short, capable of achieving similar speeds to Vetpunkt on half the horsepower thanks to its lightweight design.
There are some stunning boats that are in that race, but this is a modern, up-to-date powerboat race.
8 a.m. on the morning of June 21st, and as crowds gather, the race teams patiently taxi around Portsmouth Harbour.
getting all those boats together was stunning, absolutely fantastic. In all my racing years, to be on that start line, it was an experience of a lifetime. If we do it again, we'll be good, but we will never repeat that start line. To have great boats like Fabio, Wet Punk, Silverline, and the whole fleet of boats that were there was absolutely stunning.
After years of planning, it's now just minutes before the race is finally on. With 47 teams in total, competition is divided into 8 separate classes. From the fearsome Vet Punk dominating the superclass, to the more modest historic class boasting boats like Blue Marlin.
Well, the boat is a supermarine swordfish, which is quite a historic name in Britain. We always called it Gin Palace because it was so stylish, with a teak rim around and dark blue trim on the hull, antique deck inside, so it looked more like a decent yacht than just a plain racing boat. So the boat was not designed like the modern boat, and so it could never compete to those race boats from Italy or other countries. We knew that, but we thought we could be winning our class.
Portsmouth Harbour, the morning of June 21st, and 48 of the world's finest offshore racers await the flag that will start the Round Britain Powerboat race. The first of 8 legs will see contenders race approximately 130 nautical miles towards the checkered flag in Plymouth. And finally, they're off. For only the 3rd time in history, this epic race is underway. Coming out of Portsmouth Harbour, Silverline take the lead, closely followed by prototype boat Lionhead.
Very satisfying on the first day when the green flag goes up down the Solent, but there's only one boat in front of us and we've left the whole fleet. And we're in a boat that's a lot smaller with a lot less horsepower.
Already it's clear this race is deviating from the expected script.
We were quite surprised to see at the start of the race that we were slowly passing everybody else in our vicinity.
But the biggest upset comes as bookies' favourite Fabio Buzzi's red FPT spectacularly flames out of the competition.
Poor old Fabio unwittingly actually snapped a rudder off on the submarine wall, but it's a very heavy boat. He would have felt nothing.
Built in World War II to protect the harbour, the underwater submarine wall is visible here as the dark dots in the water. However, it went unnoticed by many boats at the start of the race, with disastrous consequences for Fabio.
He struck it, not very hard, but sufficient to bend a propeller and to collapse in the water intakes and his engines. And that you see that there was steam and smoke coming out the cockpit a short while after the engines burnt out.
Fabio and I discussed me doing the navigation on this boat because, we had such a good relationship on the last Round Britain race when we won. He knows I know British waters like the back of my hand, and no, I wouldn't have let him get anywhere near that submarine barrier. You don't want to destroy the boat before you start. That's not good news.
I was shocked. I had passed Fabio. And don't get me wrong, we're all competitive guys here. I saw it and part of me was like, result, Fabio's out the way. Good, we got the pecking order. And then it was really I felt really sorry for the bloke.
But for the rest of the fleet, there's no time to dwell on Fabio's nautical nightmare. They have a race to win. The lightweight, rigid inflatable boats, or RIBs, reach the notoriously choppy Lyme Bay, they navigate the longer but calmer coastal route, whilst the heavier craft cut straight across. It's shorter, but they face the bigger waves.
We decided to go through Lyme Bay straight across because that was a shortcut, and we expected, even on that bad weather with lots of winds and current against wind, that our boat could cope with it, and we could maybe have an advantage out of going straight through instead of following the coastline and staying in calm waters. Because obviously the tactics was, as our boat didn't have the best top speed, but lots of weight and strength, this was the way to go.
But it clearly wasn't the way to go for remaining favourite, Vetpunk's Hans Boeing.
He was going across Lyme Bay, the boat was engulfed with the wave, and both engines knocked out. So his race effectively ended on day one.
Suddenly it threw it wide open.
With the two favourites out, everyone from the production class Blue FPT down to historic class Blue Marlin were going for gold.
Everything works and you have the throttles down as most of the time, so you say everything must be right. And you feel like, yes, we are going for it. It's like a bit of adrenaline which runs through you, and everything was fun for 3 hours, so we were well racing.
But not for long. Marcus's race was about to come to a catastrophic end.
Shit. Come on. We were half an hour to the finish of the race, when all of a sudden had alarms on the bilge and found out water is pumping out from the bilge pumps. So we found we had a big crack in the hull, a hole.
This boat will sink very soon, and I think somebody will bring us a lot of salt water in here if it's not coming soon.
We can only assume that the hull stove in through the pressure and punishment, or maybe hitting something under the engine, impossible place to actually to repair in such a short time.
So we had 7 minutes from the moment it happened till we all sat in the life raft. And only after we left that into another boat we really realised what's going on, and we saw the boat sinking. That was no good fun.
And as Marcus and his crew are returned to dry land by the RNLI, the rest of the competitors race on towards Plymouth. The checkered flag is taken by British boat Silverline, making the run in just 2 hours and 34 minutes.
We had a wonderful run down, and we're all local West Country teams. To be first home into our local home port really is fantastic.
To get through and win one of the legs is good, but to win the first one is even better, so we were very pleased with that.
And coming in 16 minutes later is the lightweight rib Linehead.
To come in on that first leg into Plymouth and to be second overall in a relatively small boat, first in our class, was fantastic.
Finishing third is Blue FPT, but this Greek-led team know the Round Britain is a marathon, not sprint.
The start in this type of race is not the most important thing, because it's a long distance endurance race, so a few seconds in the start will not be the most important thing.
So, after the first leg, the Blue FPT line third, the Linehead rib in second, and Silverline lead the pack in first. Day 2 is scheduled to be the 180 nautical mile race from Plymouth to Milford Haven. But huge seas off Land's End and across the Bristol Channel forced the organisers to reconsider.
Leg 2, no one really knew what was happening. Everyone was aware that the weather was bad, particularly around Land's End. The seas can be notoriously bad there anyway.
It is west, southwest 7, the severe gale 9. The predicted wave height this afternoon between Land's End and Milford Haven, coming in off the Atlantic, is between 6 and 7 metres.
We definitely will not be going today. It's too windy, too dangerous and too difficult.
The leg is cancelled.
I was absolutely convinced that no question was racing. I knew what it was like running off Land's End.
We will be starting the race tomorrow at Milford Haven.
Now the teams face the logistical nightmare of transporting their boats 160 kilometres over land to the start point of leg 3.
We had to get our boats there. These aren't things you can just trailer. We had to phone around on a Sunday morning to get a low loader to take us up to Milford Haven for the next day.
We were lucky, we had a really good backup team, and we had a truck to put it on that was tailor-made for the job.
And so we got the boats on the trailers straight up to Milford Haven, and that gave us a day then to run through the boats and check through anything that we needed to check through. So we made the most of that.
Milford Haven also saw the fleet rejoined by Leg 1 casualties Fabio Buzzi's Red FPT and the Austrian team Vetpunkt. But with huge time penalties for failing to reach Plymouth, they now compete only for pride. For leg 3, the teams face 210 miles across the Irish Sea to Bangor in Northern Ireland. With the boats preparing for the off, the pressure is on Team Silverline to retain their lead.
We made a very good start and were leading the group of boats, and then got caught up by Fabio Buzzi and Hannes Boeing. So we had very high, big, long rolling seas. What it means is you're taking off on top of the waves and trying to land on the next one. Occasionally, it was difficult with the boat length to land at the right point on the next wave. So we took a few heavy landings, which was unfortunate, and if you're not ready for them, or it catches you in the wrong direction, as we're standing in the boat, it can be quite uncomfortable. Well, a few times we end up on the floor, basically. The G-force as you land is too much to stay standing. But on one occasion, Miles landed on his side and cracked 3 of his ribs. Poor chap.
Despite their co-driver's injury, Silverline press on through the high seas, as do their competitors.
Everybody was struggling. We were down to sort of 35, 40 knots.
And one team struggling more than most was Red FPT. Engine problems from leg 1 finally proved terminal, and for Fabio, his round Britain race was well and truly over. Whilst the heavier boats head straight for Bangor, the Linehead crew in their lightweight rib choose to cut across to Ireland, hoping for calmer coastal waters.
We hit the coast of Southern Ireland, and absolutely stunning, beautiful. Mirror flat calm, throttles went down, we were running 80 knots, 92 miles an hour. We ran then for 2 hours like that, not seeing anybody. We popped out the other end, we had about another 5 miles to run to the finish, and realised that we were actually in the lead. Disappointingly for us, we broke an engine mount. We stopped the boat, we changed the propeller, and we were still able to run at 45 knots.
Linehead's lead is already lost, but disaster is also about to strike for their main competitor, Silverline.
I think we're about 5 miles off, and we were in one of the top 3 places, but we broke another drive coupling. So the last 5 miles took, I think, 3 hours to do. We just got passed by everybody, so that was a very sad time for us.
Proving this race is anything but predictable, the Gutter Boys power into Bangor in first place, closely followed by Vedpunkt, captained by Hans Boeing.
In the beginning we had a small fight with Fabio Buzzi for the first 15-20 miles, then he stopped, and from that time on we were firing.
And Mr. Mako, powered by twin 200 horsepower Mercury outboards, takes third.
Milford Haven to Bangor was ideal for the boat, really good. Good speed and good conditions, ideal for the boat.
So the results for leg 3 are: third place Mr. Mako, second goes to Vedpunkt, and first place goes to Linehead's sister boat, the Norwegian rib Gutter Boys, which pushes them to number 3 overall behind Blue FPT and Linehead in pole position. Leaving Bangor, leg 4 sees the teams head for Oban in Scotland. Setting off from Bangor on the morning of June 24th, the teams today have 113 miles of open water to traverse before catching their first glimpse of the glorious Highlands. Considerable margin is Vedpunkt, fast approaching the Mull of Kintyre.
Vedpunkt and Hannes Boeing, those guys don't hang around. They really mean business. You see the back of his boat getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and then you see him later on sometime in the day back on land. It's an amazing boat, it's a quick boat.
But with Vedpunkt's 8-hour time penalty incurred in leg 1, the Round Britain trophy is almost certainly out of Hans Boeing's reach. Though for this leg at least, the Austrian team are so far ahead, all their rivals can do is enjoy the admittedly very impressive scenery.
It was a really, really lovely run up there. Small bit of chop around Mulligan Tyre, but beyond there, plain sailing up into the Highlands.
Absolutely stunning. Anybody's seen the sort of the classic films of Highlander or any of those films, Scotland is beautiful, beautiful place.
It was just great, you know, to have land on both sides of you and weaving in between different pieces of land was amazing. Really, really amazing. And you know, the tighter the land got, obviously the faster the boat felt.
Tussle 1 nautical mile out of Oban Harbour, Andy McAteer in Ventura overtakes Silverline to take third. Meanwhile, leg winner Hans Boeing has already moored up and has an urgent appointment with an ice-cold pint. So, leg 4 saw Ventura claim third, Linehead second, and Vetpunkt proving their muscle with first place. However, in the halfway leaderboard, the glory belongs to plucky upstarts Linehead, at first place in their Norwegian rib.
To be halfway around Britain in a prototype boat, untried and tested, to find ourselves leading the race overall was just stunning, just fantastic. If we did no more racing and we stopped there, we'd done enough. The boat had proven itself, so a fantastic result.
After a fast and furious race up the west coast of mainland Britain, June 25th is classed as a lay day. A strictly non-competitive, relaxing cruise from Oban to Inverness via Scotland's canals.
It wasn't a lay day at all really, because I think there was about 20 odd locks or maybe more to go through, and you can imagine you have to pull the boat through the lock with obviously a rope. Then wait for the lock to fill up, then wait for the door to open, then wait for the other door to close. And you can imagine, you know, you thought it was a lay day. It took forever. It really took a long time. But having said that, it was completely worth it, because the final stage was a blast across Loch Ness. So, you know, all the painfully slow going through the locking system was worth it just to get onto Loch Ness. There's no speed limit on Loch Ness. There's no speed limit on it at all. It just go as fast as you can, as fast as the boat will go. You know, and it was an amazing sight, the helicopter going overhead, and it was lovely. It was flat, just a really amazing feeling.
But there was still no rest for the teams once they reached their destination.
As soon as we arrived to Inverness, we were starting to take the engines out and wait for our new parts. So all the time we were there, we had a day and a half solidly working on the boat. So it came completely to pieces and all went back.
As far as the rest day was concerned, one thing I learned about this race, there was no rest. When you're running a boat like that, every spare minute you've got to maintain it, to look after it, to service it, you're going to spend the time on the boat. There's no point sitting around in the pub when, you know, we'd love to have done, but that just didn't happen.
But thankfully, there was a slight break for everyone in the form of a barbecue to celebrate reaching the halfway point. For the teams, it was also a chance to assess exactly who was shaping up as real contenders for the title of 2008 Round Britain Powerboat Champion.
Fabio was out of the way, Hannes was out of the way. It was really a question now of competing against the Norwegians in those fabulous ribs and the Blue FPT. Guys like that we were looking to beat.
At that point it had to be Linehead. The reason was she had just over an hour's lead, and if she maintained that speed and performance as she was doing, in no way would Blue FPT, who was lying behind her on her lapse time, could beat her.
Yeah, the pressure was on us now, you know, the other race teams were suddenly becoming aware, you know, bloody hell, who are these Norwegians, who are these boats, what are they all about? And so yeah, at that time I think we had a lot to prove.
I have to be honest here, my emotion was, if I can find an excuse to get out of this, I'm gone. It was, you know, I was suffering at that stage. It had been tough, and mentally tough and physically tough. There was still a long, long way to go, and it just The east coast sort of stretched into infinity.
Finally, heading south, leg 5 spans from Inverness to Edinburgh. Setting off from Inverness on a windy morning on June 27th, the leg sees the teams face 210 miles of some of the roughest seas yet encountered in the race.
It was, difficult, just that sort of conditions where you can't run flat out. You've got to find a speed to keep the pressure on, but not one that's going to sort of be too damaging or too uncomfortable. And, it was hard. And we were under pressure from the guys behind us.
Indeed, Blue FPT faces stiff competition from the overall race leaders Linehead and a rejuvenated Ventura, now making up considerable time after vital tuning was carried out in Inverness.
This boat was really, really running well by now. It was bulletproof. Coming down the country, we had the bit between our teeth. We were very tired physically and mentally, but the finish line was in sight, so we really, really went for it.
Surprise winner Ventura defies the waves and poor visibility to power into Edinburgh in first place, making the run in an impressive 3 hours, 6 minutes and 49 seconds.
We really enjoyed today. The sea had everything. There was following sea, a bit of a head sea. Quick start for us. We were up to like 75 knots. We held it there for quite some time. Certainly as far east as the course went. Things were a little bit lumpy after that, so we backed off slightly, dialed the boat in, and it was a really good day. We enjoyed it.
Just 3 minutes behind them comes Blue FPT, guided into harbour by the world-renowned Dag Pike. A less enjoyable day was had by former frontrunner Silverline, limping into port after suffering a serious setback due to crew member Miles Jennings finally giving in to injuries sustained on a previous leg.
The other day I cracked 3 ribs and torn the sort of muscles and ligaments around that.
The race started off pretty well with calm sea before we headed south, and then it chopped up.
Ran for the first sort of 110 miles down as far as Stonehaven before really the pain was beginning to build up as I'd run out of pain-killing tablets.
So after about the first hour and 15 minutes we had to drop him off on a fishing boat. Unfortunately that was the end of his around Britain. Poor chap.
And Silverline weren't the only casualties on leg 5. Over 2 hours later, Team Garmin crawled into port battered and bruised.
I suppose about sort of 50 miles from here, and the water got a bit sloppy, and we went up near, come down, and my visor, it's Nick Knowles' scratch on what he was using, but it's a bit sharp and it's just cut through my nose. I couldn't feel it at times, it's so cold, it's all icy, but now it's beginning to froth a bit. But that's racing.
So at the end of leg 5, Ventura took first, the ever-steady Blue FPT came in second, and Linehead were third, which was enough to keep them in the first position overall. Leg 6 sees a return to England as the teams race to Newcastle. Heading out under the famous Forth Bridge, teams soon found that racing conditions have improved little since the previous day.
A lumpy old sea leaving Edinburgh, very, very lumpy sea. And again, we just punched through it as best we could.
Mechanical problems spell an early setback for Silverline, already down to 7th in the overall listings.
But yes, it was a big disappointment to be breaking things in the manner we were breaking them. They weren't just small niggly things, they were serious problems.
And race leaders Linehead also encounter major problems.
we blew a drive, which was a great disappointment. So we knew what we had to do. We changed the propeller. Again, the three of us were on the front of the boat, but this time we had to stay up there in really rough conditions. This time we ran the best part of 2 hours strapped to the front of the boat, and yeah, we hurt this time. We really hurt, and again I bruised sort of heavily down the side with an open face crash helmet. I had somebody's elbow come round and accidentally smashed it in the face. So that was a tough leg.
Whilst Linehead and Silverline are effectively out of the running for the Leg 6 top spot, there is one team at least that appears to be enjoying themselves.
It was just lovely because the scenery was beautiful, and I shouldn't say that. You know, didn't get much time to look at the scenery, but it was. You know, you've got castles and things on the cliffs. Interesting navigation. We decided to go inside the Farne Islands, which there's a little narrow channel in there, but we thought, yeah, you know, to go outside you're going to be in rougher conditions the further off the coast you are, so we went inside, and that was interesting. You know, you're going through there at high speed and you've got to pick up the buoys there. You can't rely on GPS, the channels are so narrow, you've got to pick up the buoys.
Once again, way ahead of the pack is Austrian Hans Boeing in his Fabio Buzzi-designed Vedpunk boat. Boasting 1,640 horsepower, it races into Newcastle in a blisteringly fast 1 hour and 29 minutes. Coming in 9 minutes later, second place honours go to Ventura.
We had definitely hit our stride by halfway, definitely. Third into Oban, we came first. At Inverness, Edinburgh, we got a first. Down to Newcastle, we were in second. The boat was working perfectly, the team was working really well. Things were definitely looking up.
At the end of yesterday, we were 10th overall, and we're winning our class by quite an amount, I think something like 3 hours. Hopefully, with today's result, we should have moved up the field a little way, maybe into 7th or 8th position.
And Dag Pike's dependable navigation skills ensure third place for Blue FPT. So, for Leg 6, Vedpunk take first, Ventura second, and Blue FPT third. Though never having won a leg, Blue FPT's consistently strong performance means they now top the overall leaderboard.
I do remember in Newcastle thinking, oh, bugger it, we're now in the lead and now the pressure's on, you know.
Can Dag and his team retain the #1 spot from Newcastle to Lowestoft? Not only will Blue FPT face tough competition, but they must now contend with one of the race's longest legs, clocking in at a grueling 205 miles. Fortunately though, the weather has finally turned. Calm conditions at sea means fast running, and Blue FPT make a good start.
I think we were leading by about an hour and a quarter at that stage, something like that, which sounds a lot, but it's not a big enough cushion because we knew that the second place boat was 15 knots faster than us. So, you know, the pressure's now on.
Though engine problems have reduced Team Garmin's top speed to 40 knots, the latest in a series of crew malfunctions means the speedometer drops to 0.
We had on board a chap called Tony Hamilton who joined us halfway up and just came down the east coast. And we're going along quite happily, but obviously he was starting to get in some sort of distress at this point. We could hear on the intercom that he was grunting a bit, not happy, and eventually he sort of cried stop and collapsed in the boat. So we then had to call in. They checked the medical records and found that there was a possible problem because of an illness he had previously, and all the alarm bells went off and they sent a helicopter to pick him up, for which time he was actually virtually unconscious.
Thankfully, Tony Hamilton fully recovers, but the delay has left Garmin well behind the rest of the fleet. As is becoming a familiar pattern, a top runner is Blue FPT.
It was a fresh breeze that day, and we had options. We could go inside round the coast which is one we looked at, or we could go straight across. And we decided to go straight across. You've got to remember, it's the mental part of this racing that people just think, it's all physical, go flat out, it's great heroes. You've got to stop and think, work it all out, all the options. And it's a mental race. That's where the challenge really comes.
Whilst the Greek-owned Blue FPT take a direct route, Linehead have a different strategy.
We just stuck to what we knew. We were going to take an additional 25 nautical miles, 20 to 25 nautical miles. We're going to have a longer run. We were going to hug the shore right into the coast because that's what the boat does and that's how it performs well, and that's powerboat racing. Absolutely beautiful to see the wildlife, the puffins, the seals, the castles hanging over the cliffs. Absolutely stunning coastline. We're coming up towards the end of the race. We're surely going to be finished, and we can't see any boats, no helicopters. We've got it on our GPS, but we're thinking, are we in the right place? And we literally have 1 or 2 miles to go. And next thing, over the cliffs, I can hear the helicopter. It comes up close to our starboard side, and he puts his finger up to me, going, "Number 1, you're first." And that was just stunning. I had hairs on the back of my neck, thinking, this is just brilliant.
With a time of 3 hours, 4 minutes and 12 seconds, Linehead take first in this, the penultimate leg of the competition.
Yeah, it was perfect, wasn't it?
We ran very close into the shore. It was a lot longer route. We managed to maintain a good 70, strong 75 knots all the way.
So in leg 7, Going Lean take third, Vetpunkt second, and Linehead come roaring back with a first place finish, putting them above Braveheart 3 in the overall leaderboard, but still behind the leaders Blue FPT on the eve of the 8th and final leg. Lowestoft Harbour on the morning of June 30th. As competitors prepare for the concluding chapter of the Round Britain, they have a chance to reflect on what has proven to be a race of epic proportions.
Oh, the race has been fantastic. I mean, it's been a fantastic experience. We've all enjoyed it. We've all worked well together. We've overcome a lot of hurdles. We've had a good time, but it is absolutely knackering. It's an epic race, it really is. So I don't know. We've thoroughly enjoyed ourselves. All credit to the organisers and what they've done, and we've had mixed weather conditions, and it's been a real adventure. Overall, it's been really good.
No broken bones, so we're still alive. That's the main thing.
Whenever you're asked if you can win the competition, or if you think that you will win, you should say yes, shouldn't you? I suppose.
If we're in the top 20 with the smallest boat in the entire fleet, with the smallest engine, I think I'll be well happy actually.
I don't think we will win, but it would be wonderful top 5 and at least top 10, somewhere around there.
I would love to see the other Greek crew with the Blue FTP winning the race. If not, then I would like to see the Norwegians win, because it's a great team and I love their boat.
But with minutes to go before the boats embark on the final leg, the Greek team and their English navigator are nowhere to be seen.
The day didn't start well, because we were in a hotel about 3 or 4 miles from the port where the boat was, and we'd ordered a taxi to get down there in the morning. Taxi didn't turn up. Lowestoft taxis are apparently notorious for not turning up. And, suddenly the pressure's on. We've got to get down to this boat. We've got to race. How can we do it? And we actually got the cook from the hotel, the chef from the hotel, drove us down there and did it. He was brilliant, but that's not the relaxing start that you want.
Lowestoft Harbour, the morning of June 30th. It's now just 190 nautical miles to the final checkered flag in Portsmouth and completion of the longest offshore powerboat race of the 21st century. It's bad luck for Team Silverline, as early on they're in trouble.
Unfortunately, we broke a head gasket. Whilst it was unfortunate for us, it does say something about you can't just write a cheque out and win one of these races. Nor any amount of experience will get you through. We've been racing for a long time, all of us, and we race in other boats, in other classes, in other countries. And we came to the Round Britain incredibly well prepared. You know, there was hours and days of work went into preparation and logistics, and with all that, you know, we did one good leg and it wasn't possible. So it is a very tough thing to get through, and particularly to win it.
Yet again, Team Cinzano retire early, sadly not completing any of the legs. And Mr. Mako, the leg 3 hero, also suffers from engine trouble.
You would struggle to do anything tougher than the Round Britain. It's got to be the hardest offshore race in the world.
And competition in this final leg is tougher than ever. Still everything to play for between the two main contenders to the Round Britain trophy. Linehead in their Norwegian rib and Blue FPT.
You know, we've done the sums, and if the conditions allowed rib to go flat out, he could beat us. We only had a 45-minute lead at that stage, which sounds a lot, but it's not a great deal.
And they're right to be worried. With Linehead capable of a top speed of 15 knots faster than Blue FPT, the rib is already gaining time. South coast, Ventura battles it out with the gutter boys, who choose the longer inshore route to get out of the oncoming tide. The gamble doesn't pay off, and Ventura pulls ahead.
Weaved a fantastic route through the Thames estuary, and then it was only when we saw the helicopter near us that we realised, well, hold on a second, we must be doing quite well here, because this helicopter's been above us now for quite some time, and if we were well down the ranking, it wouldn't be there. The closer we got home, we knew we were in first place.
Three hours, 5 minutes and 18 seconds since leaving Lowestoft Harbour, Team Ventura passed the checkered flag in Portsmouth.
Lowestoft and Portsmouth, best race of my life, without a doubt. We knew we couldn't win the whole thing, but second best was to be the first boat home.
Ventura may be the first boat home, but due to a time penalty, not first place on this leg. That honour goes to the gutter boys. However, back at sea, the all-important battle for overall first place is still undecided, with Linehead gaining considerable time as it powers a radical path wide of the coastline. Closer to shore, Blue FPT still have a margin of time over their rival. But as its 75-year-old navigator Dag Pike well knows, one mistake could cost them the race.
You know, you don't relax at that stage. You know, it's a great temptation to think, you know, oh, we're only 10 miles from the finish line. Let's all relax, you know, we're there now. That's when you make stupid mistakes if you do that.
But it's not Dag's team that make the mistake.
We were running very well, and yet again we blew one of our drives. We were extremely disappointed. We knew we had a fair bit of time in the bag, but had we at this stage gained enough time, the propellers would change, we're up on the front of the boat. Again, a bit of a battering and bruising.
But it's too little, too late. With Linehead running on just one engine, Blue FPT round the fortress as they power towards the checkered flag. They've put in a faultless performance that has taken them to the top of the leaderboard. And as they cross the final finish line, they take the overall race by 1 hour and 20 minutes. A fantastic achievement.
That was quite magic coming into the marina there and thinking, oh yes, we've actually done this, you know. I didn't have to go out and navigate anymore, thank God.
And Dag is bowing out on top. He's navigated Blue FPT to first place in the 2008 Round Britain Powerboat race, boasting an overall time of 20 hours, 36 minutes and 47 seconds. That's a massive 1 hour, 20 minutes ahead of their nearest rival, Linehead.
We are very happy and we're very proud that we won that race.
We've got a second position overall with an incredible team achievement.
And as the two top boats sit together in the harbour, the Greek-led Blue FPT team proudly set off to collect the spoils of victory.
The overall winners of the third running of the Round Britain Powerboat race, ladies and gentlemen, it is boat number 333, Blue FPT, Bacillus Paterus, Panos Christophilus, Nectarus Bacillus, and Dag Pike, the overall winners.
So, at nearly twice the age of his teammates, for Dag Pike, it's a fantastic achievement. He's helped retain the trophy he first won back in 1984.
It's been absolute magic, this race. Fantastic, you know. We go out there, we thought we might just win our class if we were lucky, and here we are winning the race overall. Consistency was the count. We just kept going, and it's been a rough, tough race, this one, I can promise you. For an old man, I'm really feeling it, but we are, you know, champagne cures everything.